But these
What?
These were just so
gosh.
elegant and delicate. This is the good paper that I brought. And I have to say I do see a difference. It's a cold press, and it's I think it's probably just a little more archival, but
yeah, so you're like, I'm not a feather girl.
Yeah, but I just saw how like delicate they were, and I really liked that this one showed the
pattern.
Yeah, it shows the pattern, so I was like, okay.
Wow, that's
amazing.
amazing.
Did a feather print for Cassie.
Nice.
And actually the sun is kind of coming out now, but the day's shorter now, so
yeah.
So yeah,
you probably have an hour.
Yeah, so I did finish another book yesterday.
Wow.
And actually, this guy, which I was really winging it with this guy, but I'm trying different things. I was going to look up today, and then I got distracted by sticks, but I was going to look up like different ways to like fold.
Yep.
So that it kind of unfolds.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that you can kind of read it and then have like, have this
composition.
Wow.
What is all this? Is that the goldenrod?
It's the goldenrod.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is a little story. So this is my notebook on goldenrod. So notes on goldenrod: when the monarchs fly, they crash and bounce back against the yellow puff. A clash, a stop on the way to Mexico. So then you get some sense of like the whole plant.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something different. I've never done anything like that. And then my Daucus notebook is like just a simple like piece it together, talk about Daucus. Yeah. So then the one that I started for the workshop was I'm going to do another just simple like accordion, but like vertically. And it's on the little foxtail grass.
Yeah.
So.
And you were saying something about everything has 3 names and things don't get named, and what's the value of naming something?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that because I think I was talking about plants at another artist residency actually, and this woman who I was talking to, I was talking about a crooked stemmed aster for another body of work, and she was like, well, I've never heard of that, and I was like, well, I don't know, that's the aster that I was making a drawing of it, and she was like, so she actually went home and like looked it up, and she was like, oh yeah, that is a kind of aster. And she was like, you know, like plants and animals want to have names, like, and I just thought that was like a very assertive, like interesting thought that she had, like, and I think she's like, you know, because when we name something, we're kind of showing that we care enough to identify them and kind of know the different kind of plant life, and just by calling them out and saying this is your name, like, is kind of a way of connecting maybe. But I'm actually really bad at like plant identification. So and I'm not a botanist. I'm not somebody, but my grandfather was. And so he was all about naming plants. So I think these little notebooks are about kind of talking about the plants, talking about the places where they grow in some way. But this one's actually kind of personal because I knew I wanted to do a little notebook, and it's hard to see in the dark probably.
No, I can see it.
But this one I'll do like an accordion. And so I was just taking these little, I've printed these before. I've printed goldenrod before too. But I was like thinking about these guys that are called foxtail, I think, but they're just always really hard for me to identify online. I don't know why. So I just kind of say notes on foxtail. Are you foxtail? I call you cat's tail, like buttercups. So initially I was like, maybe I shouldn't include that because it's so specific. But then I was thinking it kind of, anyway, we'll go back to that. So tell me your name. So again, I'm talking about names. A rooster's call, Luciano's voice. Love isn't the same as possession. I couldn't keep you, so I listened to remember. No one, so this is parentheses, no one will know my name. I will say it when the light shines at dawn, I will win, I will win, I will win, I will win. So, and then I write, an electric caterpillar, you live in the golden light. So I was thinking about this like idea, and I've walked by this plant before where when the light hits it just right, it looks like it really is just like glowing from within. And I think otherwise it's just kind of background or texture, and you don't really notice it as a plant, but when the light hits it, it's just like, whoa. So the reason why this is all relevant to this parentheses here is it's a song that Luciano Pavarotti sang, Nessun Dorma. And it was I made this, I was thinking about this on the anniversary of my grandmother's death, because she listened to opera and was Italian. And so I was thinking about the lyrics of the song, because there's this riddle where the princess has to be able to guess his name. And if she can guess his name, she can kill him. And so when he's saying, I will win, he's saying, you won't be able to guess my name. So it all kind of came into that naming thing, that the theme that I'm talking about with plants, naming plants, but also he's talking about when the light shines, I will win. And I was thinking about these plants, like when the light shines, to me, they come alive in a very special way.
That's nice.
But I was also thinking like Madame Butterfly and Buttercup. So I was thinking, well, it could have like some operatic.
It's great.
Yeah.
The compositions are really nice too. I just love the lines.
Yeah. I'm not even thinking about it too much, because I mean, the cyanotype process is kind of like simple, and I don't overthink it as a photographic printing process. And I think like it's beautiful and you don't have to overthink it. So I actually kind of I it's a way to keep myself printing, because I think a photographer working lens-based cameras, it's easy for photographers to go all sorts of ways. So there's the very equipment centric, got a new lens, look at this cool lens, look at this cool shot. And they're almost like more fetishizing the camera and the equipment and the cool stuff you can do with it now. But they seem kind of removed from the printing process, or that idea that, you know, like you still want to have like a print in your hand. Like Instagram is another thing. I appreciate Instagram immensely, but I still am really tethered to the printing aspect of being a photographer. And this is like a really immediate way to make photographic prints. So yeah. And so and then there's photographers who really geek out about the chemistry, and they really just want to obsess about what, you know, processing the film in this bath at this temperature and sensitometry, and like and they're just very technical that way, and like the best exposure. I always either overexpose or underexpose, but I more than likely will underexpose when I'm shooting or when I'm printing. This is overexposed, actually. You can see the difference, and I thought about reprinting it, but I was like, well,
that's the first one.
I don't care. I don't care that much.
So, I mean, to me, it's darker and then they glow as you get farther in. So,
and I really could, but then it's like, I always kind of ask myself, well, does it bother me? Does it really bother me? And I think, I think since I took this workshop a year ago with Filter Photo Festival, the guy leading the workshop was like, sometimes you have these images that are beautiful, but they're like incorrect technically. Like he was showing sheet film where you accidentally like pull the sheet out and expose the film accidentally, and like, but he's like, but it could be really beautiful if you pair it or like bring it in. And so that kind of freed me up to, because I think like my barrier is I give myself too many rules always, and with photography it's easy to try to be like more of a machine. And one of my photo professors worked with like a new Ansel Adams, and so there's that history to it where you can make the perfect negative and the perfect print, and then it was just kind of like
happy accidents are almost better, right? Like letting go of that.
And I think like my topics, my dreaming and the unconscious, and seeing things that are everyday, almost banal, but then like re-seeing it again, and kind of shaking you out of that normality of vision. And I think I was really drawn to that in grad school, and I'm noticing like in every process I kind of go back to that. And I think if I'm just doing like really technically beautiful, very precise, the other thing I kind of give myself like a break about now wasn't doing it before, was like I'm a one woman operation. Like I think I compare myself to these like photographers who have studios and assistants, and like even like my heroes like Sally Mann had like printing assistants, and all these famous artists, they have a lot of help. And I think, well, if I had a lot of help and a bigger budget, this could be perfect. But I'm just like, hey, it's handmade, and I have the training and the wherewithal to keep pushing ahead. Even though you're an artist and the world doesn't really value you. And I think that's pretty darn good for right now.
I think the value is changing, but you're right, like comparing yourself to people who have bigger staffs or bigger budgets or live different places or whatever, and we have to stop comparing ourselves to that and just do your line, do your path, and your lineage of grandfather being a botanist and your interest in all of these things. I think that has value, you know, and it's really wonderful. And you probably wouldn't be able to do this kind of work if there was a team, right? Because it's personal.
It's so personal, and it's a lot more intimate. And I really wanted to, for a while when I was doing the cyanotypes, I was like, I really want to do books with the cyanotype process. But I started off thinking, well, I'll sell my cyanotypes. Like that'll be, because they're just beautiful.
Yeah, I saw some of your site. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're just beautiful. It's nature. It's simple enough for people to understand and put on a wall, and it's not too controversial, I guess. And most people like the color blue. So I find it's pretty nice, like that I can like sell as quickly, as opposed to my other bodies of work, not so much. Which, fair enough, like my thesis was me. It was like self-portraits of me in various states of undress, and I'm like, well, I don't want to like look at my naked self when I looked great, but I'll put that away for now. So I think like that, I started off in like a sense of like, this is the body of work that I make to sell for home decor. But for a while I was kind of craving like, rather than put a print in a frame and say, put this on your wall and beautify your space, because you like the composition or you like the plant. I just thought, well, I really want this intimate experience of holding a book. Which is a very like photographic impulse, like with snapshots and photo albums. And so I feel like,
which we miss nowadays, right? We just kind of disconnected from all the printed photos that people would have, going to dropping your film off. And even if you're just a casual photographer, right? And like it's parties or the birthdays or whatever it is, and having the object, and now that everyone just snapping digital, and then it's
I really I found when I became a freelance photographer that I was battling that, like convincing people like, you'll want prints to put in your house. And it was like a leap that I couldn't convince people to make for some reason. And I don't, but I think it's because everything is just digital, and you have your photo albums online. And so I personally feel like this is important, and like the print itself is really meaningful, but I find like, again, like I'm a one woman operation and I'm shit at marketing. So like, like I don't fucking know, like how am I going to convince some like mother of a 3-year-old to like pick a photo, and like the truth is, like a lot of people will send like holiday cards,
Yeah.
and it's all done. It's not handmade. It's just all
Right.
done off site, and then they ship it to you, and there's your Christmas card.
Right.
So it's like it's just one of those. I just found it wasn't working. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't make money from it. And this
Yeah.
is like I can make money from this, and it
Right.
still holds true to this
Right.
idea that I have as a photographer. So
Right.
so I actually am like, I can't do family portraits in the
Yeah.
park. It's just not going to be my thing.
Yeah.
And so that was just a learning curve. And I already knew I wasn't going to be a wedding photographer when I went freelance. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's this has just been a pleasure, and having access to such easy access to animals and plants here has just been really, really wonderful.
That's awesome.
So I appreciate you.
And it's a great time. I'm really happy that the circumstances actually changed from supposed to be here in July.
Yeah.
Rained a lot. It was super hot.
I bet.
So it's actually a better time.
I think so.
The goldenrod wouldn't have been here.
I know, and
there was a lot of other things, you know, like cattail, like these things would not have been here.
Right.
So I think that even though it's a shorter time than you wanted to do, I think that the circumstances and the nature just is a better.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, maybe we hadn't thought about that, or you hadn't, you know, it was just kind of.
No. I think my timeline for July was like, well, I'll be vaccinated by then, and I'll be like less afraid of dying.
Yeah.
But I also kind of have seen the academics that come in the summer because they teach in the fall and spring semester, and then I've seen residencies where it's like the changeover, like, oh, and now the professors are here, and like for some reason that I was like, well, I want to be able to go be an artist in residence in the summer too.
Yeah.
Because that means like it's more competitive or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I guess I kind of felt like maybe like I was missing out on these summer residencies that all these really careerist, really competitive artists were able to take. And to be honest, you know, like being here, not just because of the weather, but the people who are here, I think it's just been really productive and
that's great.
Good for all sorts of reasons. So I'm really glad, because I think like art gets so cooped up in that too, that, you know, you gotta like impress people with your CV,
right? No.
And so I'm not really, I didn't think about that at all while I was here. So that was really good too.
Yeah.
And I got some really good books about like boundaries and self-help stuff that I need too. So.
But in just conversations, you mean? Yeah, that's funny.
Another person here is like, I don't know who you're sharing this with, but like the library, the personal library was literally carried out and was like here. Browse.
That's hysterical. I probably have some browsing books somewhere too.
You have some self-help books that I've also pulled. But it won't be enough to like read everything. But it's great. That's really all I'm looking for. I'm unashamed about like really loving a good self-help book nowadays, because I just am not okay.
I think we're all on a journey of some sort, and I think the pandemic has also been something that has kind of, you know, affected people in an interesting in all different ways. I even love your is it paper towels?
It's just paper towels.
I love
with
the chemistry. I love that. It's really fun.
Your prints.
Oh yeah, I'll get those in a minute.
Based on your suggestions, which have been that's been really helpful. But then so I put that aside.
Yeah.
And I kind of, so what I did, I took your suggestion.
Okay.
And I started to talk about the stages of sleep.
Oh, yeah.
As a way to kind of structure the sequencing.
Yeah.
And so, luckily, so I was reading a lot of Freud and some Carl Jung as well. Mm-hmm. But I was always interested in the connection between surrealism as an art movement and this kind of psychoanalytical theory, and then we have science to really explain like what is happening when we sleep.
Yeah.
And so that was a way to kind of structure my sequencing, and then I can just like easily say, well, it's like sleep cycles.
I love it. Yeah.
So anyway, we all like go through this, but what I want to do is I want to do stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. You go back to stage 2, then you go to the REM sleep. That's when the dreaming starts, and that's when I realized like I need that crescendo with my photos so that I can have like a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Things are just really disparate. Like, why is this happening right now? And kind of like in a dream state, like you're just like, I'm seeing all this stuff, and
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And you know, sometimes you wake up and you're really rattled because you're like, whew, what was I just dreaming about, and why?
Oh wow.
So I photographed this today.
Wow. That's great.
But here, let me go to the. So, and that wasn't.
That looks great.
I wasn't as happy. I'm gonna probably pull out some of the red because it wasn't showing up against the. Oh, come on. So I've also learned to really review my work in Bridge if I can. Actually, this might not be that helpful. So yeah, a lot of the work that I'm photographing here is just this, I think we're editing a little more slowly, or we're loading a little more slowly. So I got my cat mask. I still
that's fun.
I still need to shoot that, but so I was like photographing the spark of the flames, and I think like it's the light.
It's great.
You know, I always talk about light, and that's, I mean, photographers should be really concerned with light and composition. And I really love having like smoky nearby because I'm also doing just a lot of stuff where I'm photographing my hands or somebody else's hands. So lots of donkey shots.
That's fun.
And then I really just kind of like loved the interior of this bathroom with the mural, and so we went on that nature walk and took like really dreamy photos there. And then I was out at night, you know, with the cat, trying to get like a good photo of the cat's eye. And then like my comrades had this curtain, and, you know, I think that actually was kind of magical too.
I like that one.
I couldn't have planned it, so this is what I really like about being here. It's like I can kind of just go out and be like, that looks kind of interesting, or oh, this is happening, and you don't have to plan it too much. So I tried to shoot in the bamboo with the goldenrod, and I was like, it's like close, but it's not the right thing. And then I was really clunky with the night shoot, but then I was able to have the donkeys were really just kind of magical, like ghostly apparitions. And so I thought, and so Gertrude Abercrombie is this painter who I've become recently obsessed with. And she has these really stark landscapes where there's like a tree and a cat and a woman, and it's a night scene, and it looks very spooky. And I loved this motion blur. And I know I can take this into Photoshop and kind of pull out, but these were like 20-minute exposures.
Wow, really?
Or 20 seconds, sorry.
I was going to say.
Not that long. But I found that the projection of the sheet was
really nice.
It wasn't quite showing up, but then I was like, this. So if people see the photo and then they see the photo again, and I kind of feel like it's like you're sleeping, you know, you're kind of in this mysterious dream space. So then when we were getting set up and they were coming over and just being really curious. So funny. I was like, I couldn't have planned that. That's
amazing.
There's you and Charlie.
That's funny.
And it could work. We'll see. I just thought he was really, really great. you can see, like, I remember he was like looking at me and then looking up at something, looking at me and looking, so you have this motion blur. But I think that there was like a beautiful landscape with the aster.
Yeah, nice.
Which is really beautiful right now. And then I just thought the bamboo, like, this was really the shot I was really looking for at the moment. And then I know we tried with Charlie, but I don't think
any of those came out.
I mean,
that's funny.
It's okay. It's fine. It's just
that's funny.
But then I asked Malia to model with the sweater, and I think, like, this was the first shot, and I was like, so keep moving, because I was like, okay. And I actually think the first shot is really beautiful.
Nice. It's really nice.
It's kind of stationary, so I'm kind of like, I'm not sure, like, if we're kind of pulling out of dream state. I was asking her to kind of move, and she's doing this cool thing, and it really stands out.
That's nice.
So she was trying different things, and she's a filmmaker, but so she was, but what I really just wanted to photograph her hair. Her and her hair.
Nice.
And I was like, that's just a really beautiful portrait.
And that's just it's completely random circumstances right now too, you know, just of other people that are around, and it's just she's just so delicate. This portrait, and I just feel like it really reminds me of. So I really love portrait photography. I find I don't get to do it enough because people get kind of cagey about having their photos taken. And then I've been living in the house with my husband, who I thought we kind of had an understanding that I would be taking his photos, but then he was kind of like, what? And I was like really annoyed, but I really love, like, being able to take a portrait, a good portrait of somebody. And so I was really like, oh my God, like, she gave me this really great portrait. So that's really good. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm finding that really nice, because I do have a feeling if I asked anybody if I could take their photo here, they'd be like, yeah, why not? Like, so that's also just really awesome, being around other artists.
Yeah.
So this was
that's hysterical.
With the donkey.
Is the baby sleeping? Is that what it is?
So I was actually looking at this book. Stephen Shore.
Nice.
And I know Stephen Shore's work.
That was a gift. I haven't had a chance to look at it.
And I taught the history of photography, so I'm familiar with his oeuvre. But then I was looking at it yesterday, and I was like, he took some really good landscapes, like really, like, perfectly composed landscapes with beautiful light. And like, you don't just accidentally do that, because I think a lot of photography is happenstance. Like, this is very just beautiful, well done. And I didn't think of him as like a landscape photographer. I thought of him more like Americana. Anyway, but yeah, I felt like his landscapes were just really, really, like, there was just nothing wrong with them. Which, you know.
Yeah, but you don't know how many he took to get those one, right?
I mean, yeah, but they're just so good. So then I was like, well, I'm going to take a beautiful landscape here, because the landscape is beautiful and it is interesting. So anyway, it kind of like set me up for a little comparison, but maybe a little bit of a push. So so I shot this with the Go, and I think he shoots with all different kinds of cameras. And I'm sure this was like a large format. So, and I actually need to go out and start shooting some film. But I was just like, his landscapes are actually really, really good. I guess there's a reason he's a famous photographer. Anyway.
I think it takes a while to get to that point. Look how much, it's a big book.
It's a big book.
There's a lot of things in there.
I know. And, you know, part of it is you just got to be an artist, and you got to like,
just keep doing it.
You just gotta keep doing it. I've walked by this, and I photographed this little patch of asters and goldenrod several times now, and I think this one, like, again, it was like calling me, but it was like a different light. And so I think that's also part of that process is walking in a space and seeing it in different light. Then I did my little I think this one might have a little something to it. So I was doing that little word piece.
That's fun.
Which different. So I think this is kind of a little. I'm gonna pull out the red a little bit more, but when I saw this on your property, I thought like the ads, like your words here for getting somebody to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think right now,
I love that.
I'm gonna do more with this.
I love that the street that you got. I like just the angle, like everything of it. You know, where you got like because it's tucked below the street, right? Which I think is ironic, right? So this road is up there, so you can kind of see a little bit of it. But yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And I was getting like the berries on the plants, and I was thinking like, because part of my work is about transformation here in this body of work. So, and transformation can be kind of like, you know, challenging. And so there's going to be like some subtleties here, and it might not look quite like blood. Yeah. But I don't really need it to, but I think there was something really good about getting up in the morning and doing these shoots. And, you know, I think like I could probably photograph here for several more weeks and just keep getting some really interesting photos that I wouldn't get because it's just access to a new space.
I agree.
And you notice things in a new space that you wouldn't notice.
Yeah, and everything just that's what's happening to me too. Just like walking every day and like, oh, there's something there that's blooming. What day is it? That's blooming today.
Yeah.
The different and I think that's the idea of kind of getting to know a person or a place or whatever, right? It's just kind of like passing. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe comparison. Anyway.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, these are just fascinating. And so what's your plan for the last few days? What do you think?
I have more photos that I want to do. So I have some thoughts about it, but so I do sometimes like do like a really, so there was your kind of flashlight bamboo idea. Obviously I'm an excellent drawer. I missed my calling.
Those are great thumbnails.
I noticed you don't have this weed on your property, but there's a weed in St. Louis, and I don't know the name of it, but if you walk through it, it catches on you, and it's like really prickly. And so what I want,
like brambles.
Yeah, but
is it green with thorns on it?
No. It dries out, and it's fine because I
does
know
it give you the seeds that leave on your pants and stuff? It's somewhere. I just don't know where. Yeah, okay. I think I've gotten them on me over across the street.
Yeah, that's where it's a little more wild. So I think I'm gonna try to do like my body and a few things.
Okay.
I think I need to keep exploring this cat thing.
Totally.
If that makes any sense.
It does.
I need to keep exploring. But I realize I think, oh, I need to have like a neat and tidy ending. And then I'm like, why? Because dreams end really abruptly. And then you're like, what was that?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, I don't. And it could be just another boundary that I'm putting on things that blocks me. And so to be honest, like I think I'm getting, definitely when I go home with this body of work made here and integrating it, I think it'll just be really strong. And then I'll try to show it somewhere. Yeah. Because to me it's I think I need to stop being afraid of showing my art.
Yeah. Well, now and
maybe this will be the project where I'm a little bit better about, I think it's interesting, applying with it and being really like, no, you should show this work in your gallery.
You should. Yeah. I think it took some time just for the body of work, photographs from all different times over years, right? And the ideas to come together, the different workshops that you've done. it's a life story almost squished into a few years at least, and it's coming together as a cohesive, show. It really is.
Somehow.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think like the residency, so the one that I did in Sheldon, the Hypatia in the Woods, and then this one.
Right.
Which I think is interesting because they're both like very women. Like the Hypatia residency is just only for women, and you're by yourself in a cabin. And then I was thinking, I've met some really interesting women in 2021. Just like this whole year, I keep meeting new women, and and John.
Right.
John, of course, counts.
Right.
I mean, he's a man, but he counts too. John's been fabulous. But like, it's all women here.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of cool to have that sense of like camaraderie and a little bit more collaboration too. And again, women and John. So so it's been like, that's where this project truly started. And then the workshop I did a year ago and then coming here have really just pushed it to like, oh yeah, like I'm happy with it, and it really is a different body of work than I've done ever. So in the show notes or whatever, I'll be like, and special thanks to
that's
Sarasvati.
great.